Circle Time Magazine is a professional development talk show for early childhood educators. This show gives real-world examples of teaching and learning in a variety of early childhood education settings. Ideas for using appropriate and accessible materials. Every episode has tips and methods for you to try out too.
Hi, and welcome to Circle Time Magazine. I'm one of your hosts, Dawn Williams.
And I'm Kristen Ainsley, and we are so happy you're here with us today to join our Circle Time.
So we are in our positive behavior support series, and in this episode, we'll focus on teaching prevention strategies.
Right, so children's healthy social and emotional development is fostered through positive behavioral supports in the classroom.
Specifically, today we'll do understanding behavior. So what are those social emotional needs children are trying to get met through their behaviors?
We're also going to explain positive behavioral support as an approach and framework for teachers to use in their classroom to support healthy social and emotional development.
And then we will share lots of prevention strategies that all children can benefit from. So using the environment to promote positive behaviors, rules and expectations, transitions, and lots of visual supports.
A big key message, take-home point that we want to share today is that behavior, all behavior, is a form of communication.
Yes, it is. And so since we all communicate our needs through behavior, young children do this as well. But for young children, it looks like smiles or crying or getting closer, excitement, ignoring, hiding under a table, screaming. And all of these behaviors are developmentally appropriate.
Our job as educators is to respond to the messages of behavior and also to support the social and emotional skills that children are developing.
That's right. So all behaviors have a form and a function. The form is what the behavior looks like. So crying, laying down, crawling under a table.
Right, exactly. Those are good forms. And then the function is what the point of the behavior is. So what is the person or child in this case trying to get across with their behavior? Avoiding something, escaping, or wanting something, right?
So teachers can practice and get skilled at observing and recognizing the form of the behavior so that they can address the function. So let's look at some examples.
Are you gonna play patty cake? Patty cake, a baker's man. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it and roll it and pat it and prick it and mark it with the beat. Put it in the oven for you and you and me. Yay!
That video just makes me smile.
I love that video. It's so great. And when we hear behavior, sometimes we immediately think challenging behavior. Right? That was not challenging behavior. That was trying to communicate something, right?
Yes. The child is hitting the table, it's making some noise, and it gets the teacher's attention. So that's the form, right? That smiling, that hitting. The function is trying to get the teacher's attention. And the teacher does a great job of noticing that and responding to it and really engaging in a way that lets the child know that I heard you, I saw you, and I want to play. So all that just helps build that relationship and the secure attachment.
Absolutely. That bond is really being strengthened there. I love that.
And this example is a little bit more for preschoolers, but let's say you're doing a small group activity and there's a child that gets a little frustrated with what's happening and they get up and they leave the table. So that's the form. The child leaves the activity. And the function is that I'm going to avoid this because I'm frustrated with what's happening here. And so what the teacher can do is think about how to meet that need, right? So you want to help them persevere, you want to encourage them to continue, so maybe make the activity just a little bit easier. So if they're cutting, maybe there's less to cut and you pre-cut some, or maybe you shorten the length of the activity. But you're identifying what that function is and your response is to meet that function so they can be more successful at it. So key messages here are that we all have behavior and behavior is communication.
Teachers can notice and respond to the form and the function of behavior in children to support children with their social and emotional development.
Teachers are faced with entire classrooms of children all sending different messages with their behavior, and it really helps to have a framework to support that.
And that's why we are so excited to welcome Dr. Kathleen Artman-Meeker here from the University of Washington. Kathleen, you and some of your colleagues have written the position statement for challenging behavior for DEC. We're so excited for you to be here and tell us about it.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here too. Yes, my colleague Dr. Angel Fetting, Dr. Jessica Hardy, and I co-authored the paper for DEC.
So Kathleen, what are positive behavior supports and what is important for teachers to know about the position statement?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in many ways, positive behavior support is our field's best thinking about how we help children develop those really important social emotional skills and help families, educators, programs think about supporting the adult behaviors that support children's behaviors. So it's kind of, we like to think of it as a philosophy with feet.
I love that. Philosophy with feet.
It's the big ideas, it's what we say, the research tells us is really important for kids and families and educators, but then it takes it down to when I'm trying to buckle a toddler into a car seat, or I'm trying to serve snack, or I'm trying to lead a story time, what are the actual practices that help make that successful and help children develop?
So if a teacher is doing PBS, what does it look like?
It's a great question. So PBS is really about building on the positive things that are already happening in every classroom. So it's not about stopping challenging behavior, actually. It's really about increasing or building up the social behaviors that we see in kids. So the positive behaviors, helping, sharing, labeling my emotions, those kind of things that I see, it's building those all up in the young kids. So it's a little different from what some of us may have experienced in our own elementary school or early childhood experiences, getting names on the board, maybe children being sent out in the hallway, those kinds of things. And some of the things that still are pretty common in some early childhood and early elementary programs, the behavior management systems where kids might flip a card for challenging behavior or move their clip to red. Those kinds of things, those strategies are really reactive and they may stop a behavior in the moment, but they don't teach a child anything new or different. So how PBS is different is we flip that situation a little bit. Instead of noticing the challenging behavior and children flipping cards for challenging behavior, now we take that time to notice the positive things we want to see in the classroom. So it might be a teacher who has a feeling proud and saying it loud board on the wall, and she just tacks a little sticker or a little dot up there, or a little note with a quick reminder of what happened in the classroom that day up on that board to recognize positive behaviors that happen in the classroom. And so this gives us a bigger picture view of behavior. It's a little bit more long term. It's about building the skills we want to keep seeing, and over time we get more and more of those behaviors. So it's not about stopping the challenging behavior. It's not just I want a child to stop grabbing toys. It's that I want a child to learn to say, can I play, or my turn, or please stop. And I can teach that. That's an actual skill I can help build. So once we start thinking about challenging behaviors as what's the other skill I could teach instead, it's really empowering to the adults.
Well, and a teacher is spending a lot of energy trying to stop these challenging behaviors. So it's just kind of a different way to focus your energy in a more productive way that could have long-lasting effects, it sounds like. Yeah.
You have me so motivated now.
Right? I know. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Sure, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Jordan Tidingfong is here with us today. She's on the professional development team at the Herring Center for Research and Training and Inclusive Education. She's going to tell us all about prevention strategies.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm excited to be here. I am excited because I get to talk about prevention strategies and just the times when we can get the most bang for our buck when we're trying to teach kids. And because a lot of the things we're trying to do is work around a challenging behavior, something that might come up, a meltdown, right? A lot of the time what ends up happening is that we try to teach at the peak, right? When a kid is having a full-on meltdown is when we're intervening, right? Not the best time, right? It's not really a time where we can learn.
Never worked for me.
I can't teach at the peak.
And I can't learn at the peak, right? So really it's all of those things leading up to the peak that are going to be when we want to do those preventative strategies in there.
Excellent. So since we are in the prevention zone today,
Yes.
we have this very fun classroom model to demonstrate some environmental strategies that could help us be proactive about behaviors.
Yeah. We want the environment to tell kids what to do, and we want it to help us tell kids what to do. Also just defining your areas as well, right? That's telling kids what to do, where to go. So having area rugs that can help define your space, like this is the spot where I'm going to go read my books.
Nice. Okay, great. So that's the book area. That's the boundary.
Right, right. It's really about creating those boundaries that help kids know where to go and what to do, right? The environment's going to tell us what to do. And I think another thing to think about with that is having those separate spaces of the quiet and maybe the louder spaces as well too, you know, so like our block area, maybe on this side away from where our reading and our writing area might be, right? Places that we're naturally going to have a little bit louder play and some quieter play, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
and continuing to help define those areas. Another thing you might do is just put down some tape on the ground to help define that area. Block area was always a high drama spot in my classroom, and have maybe things get knocked over because we're taking blocks off the shelf, dramatic play is right there, we're going to stumble into it. Just having some clear boundaries that help define that space is really important.
Right. So just tape on the floor.
Just tape on the floor.
Easy.
Just using your bookshelves to help you define spaces, using area rugs, having a spot for your circle area is another great thing to do.
Okay.
So that helps kids know when it's time for circle, this is where I'm going to go to, right?
Okay, I love that. That's great. Now this looks a lot different than it did, right? This definitely has defined areas. I am a child, I'm coming in. There's not a lot of places for me to run because, you know, there's lots of fun areas to play in instead of fun.
You know, this makes me think it's time for some circle time magic.
So let's say that your classroom, you are wanting to teach children to listen to each other more, right? We're at circle time, a child is talking, we want other children to listen to them. Okay, so you might have a plan before you do circle time. You've got some visual support, some pictures ready, different pictures of children looking at each other, listening to each other. You're gonna demonstrate what these look like. Maybe you're gonna do puppets, model what it looks like. Maybe you'll have children come up and role play what it looks like to listen to your friend. And then you as a teacher, you're gonna really reinforce all the times when you're seeing the expectation happening, the children listening to each other. All right?
So circle time is a great time to maybe teach some expectations, demonstrate and model them, practice them, and reinforce it when you see it happening.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Circle time magic.
All right, so then transitions. That's another common problem. How can the environment support that?
Yeah, transitions, the environment can help you a lot, right? So like we said, having that idea of where to go for the next spot in my schedule. It's circle time, we're gonna go over here. Maybe also having carpet squares out so each kid knows this is where I'm gonna go and sit down. This is my defined space. And so there's less that the teacher's having to do. The environment is telling kids, I'm gonna sit, this is where I'm gonna be, I'm gonna have this space to myself, and the teacher's not having to say as much with that, right? Lining up is always a big one, right? So having a spot that's really clear this is where you line up, here's your own space, this is where you're supposed to be. The environment is telling and giving that direction to kids.
Right, so I'm just hearing you say that you know, so much of what you want to do in your environment helps you as a teacher not have to keep verbally reminding because it's a clear visual for children in cleaning up, in transitioning, where to line up, that kind of thing. So the environment can help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
With cleanup too, right? Yeah. Oh gosh, like, I don't want to stop what I'm doing. No. That transitioning time, that cleaning up, I don't want to stop what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do during cleanup time. No. So the environment can help you with that too, right? If I don't know, if I'm not done with what I'm doing, having some construction zone signs in the block area. So you can put a construction zone sign on it and leave it there and then come back to it later. Or if I'm drawing and I'm not quite done with my picture, I have a not done bucket. And that can come back to that later on. Talk to the child about when they can come back to it, right? We're honoring the fact that they wants to come back to it. We're not just saying you have to go, you can. Here's what you can do in between, right?
And that makes that separation a little bit easier.
Right, right. And then having buckets and with visuals on it, or cleanup areas that have pictures of the materials exactly where you want to put them, right? Having that defined space. I know all the writing stuff goes over here. If there's a cup that has pictures of all the markers on it, I'm going to be able to do that without a teacher giving me a direction of what to do in that moment, right? Kids were increasing independence there too.
Yes. And you can also do that during mealtime. So if they're at the snack table, actually having labels there where children are supposed to go sit, that helps tell them what to do and engage them there. And then if you got younger children, and you can put their pictures on the sippy cups, because I know I need my sippy cup, and I would like mine. So if I can find my picture without having necessarily read the words, then that can be a visual support that help toddlers know which cup is theirs.
That's a great one.
So just to review, most of the work on addressing challenging behaviors starts in the prevention phase. There's lots of teaching we can do then, not much that we can do at the peak of behavior. And a very proactive way to do it is to teach about it. We can practice it, we can model it, and then reinforce it so it will continue to happen.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Guys. Thank you.
Everybody has their own way of saying goodbye, huh? Do you need a tissue for your nose? Remember, the tissues are right here. And you can follow these steps. Are you going to go wave out the waving window, Parker? Children don't have the same sense of time that we have. You know, they're very much in the now, and then there's what just happened and what's going to happen next. That's their clock. Ever. You're so funny. My name's Deborah Walter, and I've been doing in-home licensed childcare since about 1990, when my son was first born, and I wanted to stay home with him. When I set up the room and set up the environment, I'm thinking about what's going to help every child be successful. But some of the things that I do, not every child's going to need those. An example would be the visual schedule. It's partly how our brains learn as we start out needing pictures before we have all the language, before we've built all the pathways, right? I have a child has a high stress threshold, I would say, and separation is being a challenge for her. One of the things she finds comfort in is that visual schedule. And I noticed the other day that I wasn't really drawing much attention to it anymore. Most of the kids we all know what's happening. And I realized that this child really takes comfort in that schedule and will personally go over and move the clothespin when we transition from one time of day to the next. And so it's just great to know that that is there for her. You know, it's not like something that everybody has to do. It's just another tool in the class, and it's there. And some children may just need to look at it sometimes. But for that child, actually moving it has been such a great comfort to her. The routine's important, but I think that the ownership or the agency that the children feel about the routine has been really helpful this year. I feel like I am this tour guide, but really they're teaching me as much as I'm teaching them. And we're kind of on this adventure to learn about the world together. It's just the best job in the world, I think.
Hi everyone, welcome to our Try It Out segment with Kelly. Kelly, you have brought so many great visual supports here.
First thing I brought are an assortment of different timers.
Okay.
What the great thing about having timers is that it shows children how much time is left. So if you say 5 minutes till cleanup, sometimes 5 minutes is like kind of an obscure, like I don't know what 5 minutes is. Another great way to use these is if there's a really popular toy or a really popular item in your classroom that a lot of children want to use at once, you know, taking turns. Another great thing you could do if you don't have sand timers is just use a little digital timer. And this is just one of those little kitchen digital timers.
Well, and you can even make your own sand timers. So let's check out that video on how you can do that.
the next thing I brought is just a pocket chart. And so this pocket chart is super customizable. It really can be used however your classroom is using it. So this is just showing children when they come in at 8:30 is circle time. So they know that when they get here, they're first going to do circle time, and then they're going to do snack afterwards, and then they're going to brush their teeth, so they can visually see the picture of what's happening throughout the day. The really great thing is that it is customizable. So if you're not doing circle time this morning because maybe you have a special visitor coming in, you have a picture so that children know the special visitor's coming in today. They know what to expect. They can feel confident. They can feel kind of safe that they know what's happening next.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So easy to pop things in and out.
Absolutely, yeah. Another great way for children to kind of see the progression throughout the day is there's either like, you know, maybe a star where you can like move the star from each
Like
thing.
on a clip or something.
Yeah, like maybe move a clip that, you know, we're at snack and now we're at, you know, brushing our teeth. Another easy way is maybe just flipping it over. Once it happens, a child is physically doing something. So they're able to physically like feel that transition happening. You could, instead of having times, you could have whatever centers are open. Maybe, you know, each child has a name and 3 children get to go to the block center, which can definitely help prevent some problems where, you know, everybody wants to go to the block center. The next thing I have is voice volume chart. This is just a super simple one that has soft and loud. So you can talk about soft voices, you can talk about loud voices. Again, with any of these that I am showing you today, they all need to be presented and taught to the children. So they need to be talked about either in like a whole group setting or a small group setting. So talking about it and specifically showing the children, you know, what is a soft voice? What is a loud voice?
Older children, I could see almost with them, right? Writing on here with arrows, what areas and what times of day can be loud.
Yeah. The next thing I have is a really easy Velcro chart. And what this is really great for is for transition times. This one specifically is for getting ready to go home. I know that in my classroom that was always a big challenge for everybody.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And so we've broken down the transition into smaller steps. They know that they get their jacket, then they put on their jacket, and then they get their backpack, and then they put on their backpack, and then they get in line. So it helps them feel more confident that, you know, they've done it correctly, that they know what's expected of them. They can see what they're supposed to be doing next, because I mean, it is a chaotic time. Maybe you might forget.
Yeah, I never thought about having one for that transition.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I love that tip that maybe it's just one of these that you teach at a time.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
We tried to do everything at the beginning of the school
Yes.
year. Maybe nothing would stick.
Right?
Yes.
Or maybe you need to revisit it again in January.
Yes, absolutely. And again, that's really the great thing about this is that you can switch from, you know, one thing at a time to a different thing. So I love that. And then the last thing I have, which we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, is posting, you know, maybe just a big poster. So if you aren't going to break it down, but you do want it just as a reminder, maybe your classroom transition is posted by your cubbies and your hand washing guidelines are by the hand washing area so that children remember what step to do. And it's a visual way for them to see what's going to happen next.
You know, another one like that is the first then charts.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
2 steps.
Oh, yes. 2
Yeah.
steps.
Yes, and especially if you have really tough transitions that you really need to break down, just having 2 steps on there is really great for children to see. First I do this and then I do that. So it's not quite as overwhelming as do all of these things on the chart. It's just 2 things.
Right. I mean, that seems like everything here is so customizable. You can put it on Velcro. You can put them in a pocket chart. It's just having these visuals available is really the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other point about it is you do have to teach how to use these.
Yeah.
So you do need to spend time talking about your pocket chart, talking about how to use the timers, talking about each of these you know, visual supports that you have in your classroom. You do need to teach them, and you do need to make sure that, you know, you're reinforcing them, you're actually using it every single day. You know, it's super easy to like have it just on the wall, but actually making sure that you're actually using it is really what's going to be the most beneficial for the children and for you as the teachers, as far as them being effective.
Right. Well, and all of these visuals are available on the Head Start Center for Inclusion website too, so you can print them out, download them, and use them in any customizable way that you'd like.
You can actually, because they are on Word, Dawn, that you can put different languages. I see that those are in Spanish too.
Spanish and English,
You can put any language on there that you would like to, right? You can just type on there.
Maybe your needs in your classroom. Absolutely, definitely.
Great.
Thank you, Kelly.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, next it's time for some books. Let's learn about how to support some behaviors in our library segment. We are here to talk about preventing challenging behaviors and promoting positive ones with Blythe, because there's books that can help you do that. Hi, Blythe.
Hi, thanks so much for talking to me about these books. I think that the books I have here are going to be really effective and also, I hope, fun ways to talk about behavior and prevention.
Excellent. I can't wait.
Yes. So this is Know and Follow the Rules. It's part of a series of books called the Learning to Get Along series, and they're so great about addressing specific social emotional situations. This particular one is a very straight to the point book about setting up some rules and why those are important.
Yeah, no, these are really popular.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Next is Bella's Rules. Bella doesn't want to follow any rules at all until she gets a puppy and discovers how helpful rules can actually be.
That would do
Yes.
it. That would do it. Yeah, that would do it.
The puppy gets up to some trouble. But then Bella gets to help develop some rules for that puppy. And she begins to understand why those rules are important. I like this one for showcasing the involvement of the child in helping to develop some of our positive rules that we're going to have.
Well, another idea, maybe if you're going to set rules together with the children, you read this book, it helps them understand why you might need some rules. The puppy needs some guidance. Maybe you were hurting your feelings if you tear up my stuffed animal. So it helps the child really understand why rules are important.
Exactly. And this one is Please Baby, Please. This adorable child gets up to all kinds of funny behavior.
Yes, she does.
And we get to go through that story with that baby and kind of look at, maybe we don't want to do these things. And
They're like, no, please don't do this, please don't do that. But then it's, how do we do this in a positive way? What things can we put in place to do that?
Exactly. And having books that just directly address those behaviors can be really helpful. This is Hands Are Not for Hitting. This is Little Dinos Don't Hit. Teeth Are Not for Biting. Exactly what they sound like. Books that are just going to help describe the behavior, why we don't do it, and some strategies for what to do instead. These two are part of the Little Genius series that target behaviors, transitions, routines, all those things that need a little bit of support in a very straightforward way. So that one is Little Tiger Picks Up. So that transition of picking up the toys and moving on to the next activity.
I imagine these are things you get asked about a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're just difficult behaviors, and lots of feelings come up when you have to change, especially from playing with the toys to doing something else. I don't want to stop playing. It's fun.
Right, I don't want to clean up.
Transitions are tough.
Right. But if you want to make cleanup fun, Dinosaur versus School is a hilarious title.
That just grabs you, right? That title. I love it.
These kiddos get up to all kinds of wild behavior, but now Dinosaur and his friends will do something they have never done before.
Oh my gosh.
Dun, dun, dun. They are going to clean up. Look at their faces.
So much fear. Everybody's about to run away.
But of course, when everybody joins in, they are going to get it all cleaned up and everything is going to be just great.
Reading these books about how to clean up, how to transition helps prepare them. They get to read it in the book, then you know how to practice it better.
Exactly. So speaking of transitions, this is Kitty Cat, Are You Going to Sleep? This is Trashy Town, and this is Let's Play in the Forest While the Wolf Is Not Around. Now, what do these books have in common? They are repetitive books with refrains that kids can get used to, and we can use those in a way to help with transitions even when we're not reading the story. I'll show you what I mean. So in this book about Wolf, Let's play in the forest while the wolf is not around. Wolf, are you there? I'm putting on my shoes. Are you there? I'm putting on my jacket. And you see, as we move through, the wolf is adding something to his routine. And the animals in the forest keep asking, is he ready yet? Yeah. And so kids love this one. It's repetitive. It's just a funny story on its own. Once they know that tone of voice you use, you can ask them, wolves, are you picking up your toys? Wolves, are you putting on your coats? And you can just use that in the classroom to promote whatever behavior it is that you want to use. This one's great for picking up, good for taking a nap.
There's magic in those repetitive phrases, right? We can use them at all times for support, for the kids to just follow along and love it.
Absolutely.
That's great.
This is Leo Loves Baby Time. Now this story, we see Leo going to the library for story time. And this might be an activity that you're going to do with your group. And having some information about what to expect when you get there can be so important. And so we get to walk through that with Leo in this sweet little story. When we know what to expect, we don't have that anxiety and we don't have that behavior that can emerge when we're feeling uncomfortable.
These are great. My gosh, so many great categories within this kind of prevention. We've got the importance of rules and expectations. What else, Dawn? We've got
helping through transitions, right? That repetitive frame that can help you do that, and like knowing what to expect, knowing how to clean up, where to clean up, what to do. That all kind of supports and prepares children to do that. All of those things can help give children some models and things to practice and be prepared to help prevent some challenging behaviors. Thank you, Blythe.
Thanks so much.
All right, our next segment is all about you. We save the best for last by taking time to offer some resiliency strategies that can help in your everyday work. Gail Joseph is here with some strategies to share with us.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, Dawn. Hi, Kristen. It's nice to be here again.
We're so glad you're here.
Oh, good. All right, so I have a great strategy. This is one that I use often. And so it really just starts with a question, which is, are you stuck at a red light? So it's an opportunity to kind of reflect on how you're thinking about certain situations in your life. Okay. So one of the ideas is that thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all connected. Okay. So I know we know that intuitively, but we actually have a lot of research that also supports that idea. That the way that we're feeling about something can influence the way we're thinking about something, which can influence the way that we continue to feel about it, which might influence the way we behave. Okay. Right? So one thought to have is, am I thinking about this in a red light or a green light way? Right. So let me think about a classroom example. Right. Right. So we've all been classroom teachers. We've all had observations and some feedback from observations. Right. Yeah. So let's say that we just had an observation, maybe using some instrument that gave us some feedback, where our supervisor or our coach gave us some feedback, and some of it was positive, but some of it suggested there was room for improvement. All right? Okay. And so great opportunity for red light or green light thinking. Right. Because if you're stuck at a red light, you might think, I'm a terrible teacher. Right. Right? Defeated. Yes, exactly. Right. That's going to influence how you're going to feel. I'm feeling defeated. And how might you behave? Forget it. I'm not even going to try, right? I was trying my best and I still got bad feedback, right? Whereas green light thinking might be, all right, so I did some things well and I have some areas to improve. All right, so how might I feel? I might feel all right, right? I might feel a little bit better than
I might be able to listen to that positive feedback a little bit more too, and really focus on that a little bit more than.
Because you're thinking in that and feeling a little bit more hopeful. So what did I do well? How can I get more of that going on? Right. And then how might I behave is maybe to ask for some support or reflect on and think about how I can improve. So again, very different behaviors, same situation prompted it, but it really is us thinking in a green light way. And I think this comes into play a lot when we're in the classroom and a child engages in some behavior that we find challenging, right? So we can be in the classroom and somebody can spit on our face. That's happened to me before. And that's an opportunity again for red light or green light thinking, right? So red light is, this kid's a monster, this is disgusting, right? I'm mad, I'm angry, and I'm gonna see if I can get this kid out of my classroom, right? That's a horrible situation. Right. Whereas green light could be, right, that wasn't very pleasant, but I think he might need some attention. Or he might not want to do the task that I'm asking him to do, right? So how am I feeling? I'm feeling a little bit more in control in that situation. I'm feeling like I could be a little bit more helpful. And how might I behave is to adjust my strategies with that child. So, so red light, green light thinking. And every time now that you're driving in a car and you get stopped at a red light, just use that as an opportunity to reflect and think. Am I stuck at a red light with anything that's going on right now?
Right. That's so helpful because then I have some hope, right? I can think of something that helps me be more resilient.
That's right.
And remembering that, I like how you said that thoughts are going to affect my behavior. And so my thinking is the first thing that I can kind of switch or think about, that easy visual of red light, green light thinking. Okay.
Yes, exactly. And I can have some green light thinkers in my life.
You can have some green, you can have green light thinkers.
Surround yourself with green light thinkers.
Right.
That's great.
Thank you, Gail.
You're welcome, Gail.
We are at the end of our time.
All done.
So just real quickly, what we learned today was about understanding behavior, that all behavior is communication.
Right, we really went into positive behavioral supports and talked about a lot of strategies that teachers can use in the classroom to support children's healthy social emotional development.
And hopefully you're leaving full of preventive strategies that you can try out tomorrow.
Right, absolutely.
So we also want to remind you that this is available for STARS credit. You can click the evaluation link, and that also gives us some feedback because we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining our Circle Time.
Bye.